Hey, my name's Julian Faust. Welcome to the Profits and Panels podcast. Today, I'm joined by Brad Stutzman, founder and CEO of O3 Energy. Brad, thanks so much for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Julian.
Of course, yeah, it's a pleasure. And I'd like to get started by learning a bit more about your background. Can you tell us about where you came from, but how you became the founder and CEO of O3?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a long story. I think, multiple people in the industry have stories, coming from outside of the industry, whether it be by choice or just by destiny, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you would consider mine. Out of college, I worked for a bank, and the bank that I worked for did a lot of construction and development financing, working with developers and builders to fund their projects. I ended up leaving the bank with my business partner at the time. He was an underwriter over there. And we started a company focusing on structuring and sourcing capital for developers and for builders. That business did well, and in 2009 was really whenever the Great Recession hit Texas. There were a lot of builders and developers in Texas that had large tracts of land, and no banks, no capital sources were financing any of that. So, a lot of those builders and developers didn't know what to do with their land. At the time, Obama came out with the American Recovery Act, which had a lot of incentives for renewables in the act. And so a lot of the developers started asking us about, hey, what if we looked at a wind project or a solar project on this tract of land? So me and my business partner, we learned how to basically put together those types of financing and worked with those developers to finance renewable projects. So over time, I ended up starting O3 Energy to focus on developing and building our own projects. And so that's kind of the evolution of how O3 Energy started.
So right now, how would you guys say that you're identifying and developing your target market?
So right now we're using a lot. Well, it's changed over the years, right? Initially, we just came in looking to finance projects. Now we've been looking to build and finance projects. We also own some solar facilities as well. And so right now, our go to market has been attacking just heavy power users. So anyone that's in the market that's using a lot of electricity for a property, whether it be, multifamily, we've been working with a lot of hotels. In the past, we've worked with a lot of churches, a lot of nonprofits, municipalities. The way the world is nowadays, everybody uses electricity, and the demand for electricity is not going down. It's continuing to increase. Every year, everything that you use in your daily life requires electricity, and it's requiring a lot more and more electricity. We're now switching from, gas powered cars to electric vehicles. You know, uh, before we didn't have cell phones. Now we have cell phones that need to charge, computers. Now instead of typewriters, everything is requiring electricity, and so it's just putting more and more load on the grid and more strain. And now you're seeing it with AI as well, right? So a lot of requirements for more and more electricity.
How are you guys finding the high energy users?
Well, I mean, anybody is technically, any business that owns their property and pays their electric bill is going to be a high energy user. We really like to focus on properties like hotels, which use a lot of electricity. They pay their own electricity bill, the owner of the property. We've worked with some manufacturing facilities as well. They use a lot of electricity. We're looking to work with some data centers right now, evaluating those sites. And a lot of our marketing is through word of mouth, outreach through social media. LinkedIn is a good one for us because it's all business owners. That's all we deal with is B2B. So, we can identify who the business owners are or who is in that decision-making chain and reach out to them directly. So, LinkedIn, has been really good for us. We've been using also some softwares like Zoom Info or Apollo to identify, individuals in that structure who are in control of the utility bills. So whether it be the COO, a facilities manager, a CFO, anyone that's impacted and really oversees the expenses that come from the utility bill.
Okay, yeah. So when you're acquiring these clients or you're looking to reach out specifically to these people, are you just very direct in your approach? Like asking, "Hey, can have you thought about doing this, this, and this?" Or what's that process look like for you guys to connect?
Yeah, so mainly what we want to do is, the first thing we always want to do is get a look at the property and get a look at the utility bills themselves. That way we can identify what we can offset with different types of technology, right? By evaluating the electric bill, and depending on what utility it is, a portion of the electric bill might be electric consumption. Some of it might be demand charges. So each of those are attacked with different technologies. The consumption is going to come from solar. So we can offset that with solar. If they have demand charges, we're probably going to need something like batteries on the site to offset any sort of demand charges from the utility. So different technologies will attack different issues that the property is having with the costs. And so we really want to do an evaluation on the front end to see what the issues are, what the goals are for the business as well, and what kind of solution we can come up with to offset that and fix their issues.
So you were saying that you use a bit of LinkedIn for this initial connection, or like through Apollo, you're finding specifically who's doing what. What I'm most curious about is that initial conversation and how you actually get your foot in the door. Can you tell us a bit about that?
How we actually get our foot in the door. Um, like I said, I mean, it's just really just reaching out to them, and identifying or showing them, that we can bring down their costs. We use some case studies as well on some of our previous projects that we send out kind of as marketing to show, these are the things that we can do for you before we really get down the path. Because, a lot of times, there's a lot of groups out there that overpromise and underdeliver. And so we want to show real world solutions that we've put into place in the past that we can do for, a current potential client.
Okay, yeah. So on another note, I'd like to know a little bit more about also the challenges you're facing in the business in your day to day or even over the longer term, besides the industry problems, because we all know that everyone's dealing with that. Within
Right.
your own business, what are some of the challenges you're facing at the moment?
Yeah, so we're always challenged with the fact that we have to re-educate customers, right? There's a lot of bad information that's out there in the news, and unfortunately, technology, renewable technology especially, has become so politicized that there's so much bad information out there, and people see it on the news, they see it day to day in commercials, just attacking renewables in general. And a lot of it's wrong information. A lot of it's not true. It's just a way to attack it and give it a bad name. And so I would say one of our biggest issues is having to re-educate potential customers from the standpoint of attacking that bad information and showing them, where it is bad information and know some of that stuff is not true. Some of it is either made up or it's mischaracterizations, all of the above. So.
Have you considered campaigns in the past where you would do like re-education campaigns or education where maybe whether it's on social media, part of your sales process is just building credibility in that manner, but maybe even through emails messaging these new individuals?
We've thought about doing something like that with like a video, quick video campaigns. And that's some of the things that we're looking at right now to go to market with yeah, just maybe like a 5-minute clip to kind of go in and talk about some of those misnomers.
Okay, yeah. So what would you say within the business is a metric that you would want to improve?
I
Is
mean,
there,
everybody wants to improve profitability and sales, right?
of course, yeah, but do you do you think there's something before that, like there's an inefficiency where okay, we solve this sort of thing, and then it directly or indirectly helps us raise our margins or profits?
Yeah, one of the biggest ones would be sales cycle time, right? Because because these are large investments, large capital improvements, and there is that re-education process. Sometimes the sales cycle on an individual site or with an individual customer can take a year and a half, you know, 2 years, on the long side. So it'd be great to condense that down some to wherever it didn't take so long.
Okay, yeah. Wow, that's actually a really long time.
Right.
But have you considered less it seems like you're very focused maybe on getting one person to convert into a sale. Like a 2-year period seems like a lot longer than I would have expected. Have you considered just doing more like mass outreach and just going like maybe even a lower hit rate, but you're getting people at like lower effort or lower shorter sales cycles, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, well, one of our focuses has been a little bit different from that in the fact that we've focused on in the past, we focused on the properties themselves. Hey, this property here looks good. This property here looks good. Now, what we've started doing is more or less reaching out to groups that we know have several facilities or portfolios of facilities so that we can look at more than just one of their sites at a time, right? So if we make a relationship with one customer, they may have 10 facilities across the US. Whereas if we're just attacking it from a site specific sort of attack and then working with the customer, we're only seeing that one site. So that's kind of some of the things that we've been looking at and working towards here as of late.
Can you explain that a little bit more? Because earlier I think you said that you target some like multifamily properties.
Right.
Are you expecting the people who own multifamily to have multiple multifamily properties?
Yeah. So that's what we've been doing. Yeah. We've been reaching out to like investment groups yeah. So investment groups or student housing groups. These companies that's what they focus on is operating, managing multiple sites, property managers, asset managers, fund managers. So that's kind of a tack that we've been taking here lately.
Okay, yeah. And to fully optimize your business processes, what do you think's the next step for you guys to get to not just higher profits, but more efficient operations as well?
Repeat that. I'm not getting what you're
Yeah,
asking there.
so what I'm trying to say is to feel fully optimized as a business, I would say in the operations aspect where things are super efficient, flowing well, there aren't bottlenecks here or there. What would a next step in that process look like for you guys?
Next step.
Maybe if you're like doing repetitive tasks in your own day to day and you want to remove something from that process, something like that.
Yeah, so we've actually started using a lot of AI, a lot of the remedial tasks. Chat GPT has been doing a lot. We've been using it for a lot of things, taking a look at our previous numbers and crunching budgets for forecasting. Some of these remedial tasks, like you're talking about, to wherever we don't have to have a bunch of people on the team dealing with some of those remedial tasks, doing that research. We have the AI do the research for us, bring it back to us, and then we can just take a look at the data itself.
What other specific, well, is there anything in your own day to day that is super repetitive?
In my own, well, not anymore now that we started using that. No, not from a lower level task sort of issue. So
Okay, yeah. That's so great though, isn't it? Like these things you don't want to be doing, it's just kind of it's got to be done like the admin task, but now you can just delegate it elsewhere. It's so great.
yeah, yeah, no, I love it. I mean, and it's you can just plug it in. We were doing one yesterday, and I'm surprised that it's gotten to wherever I feel like before it was, whenever we were using the AI, we would, plug it in and then it would come back with maybe some misinformation. And then you have to be like, hey, tweak this or tweak that. Now, what I've been saying is, you type in exactly what you want and it comes back with questions before you even where it does all the research, right? Which is really cool. For instance, yesterday we were putting together a budget for next quarter's travel for going to events for marketing purposes, right? Attending these real estate events where they do have a lot of property managers, fund managers, and so we listed out all the events that we wanted to go to in the quarter. And we put it into Chat GPT's the deep research and said, hey, please put together a budget for us to attend these events, lodging, food, travel. If it's outside the state of Texas, it needs to be a flight versus driving. And then it came back with a list of questions, came back with, what type of hotel do you want to stay in? Do you want to stay in a budget hotel, mid-range hotel, or a premium hotel? Do you want me to plan individual meals, or do you just want to do a per diem per day? How long do you want to stay at each of these events? And then is it just going to be you, or is it going to be multiple people at the events? And it's like, wow, I didn't even think about that, but it does need that information, right? So, went back, answered everything, and it went and researched, came back in 30 minutes, boom, has it all planned out, has the actual flights that we're supposed to be flying on, has the cost for the flights, the cost of the events, cost for lodging, everything. It's like, here you go. So, I mean, and that's something that would take, if I had an assistant doing it, that was something that would take them, maybe an hour or two, right? So, and it took ChatGPT 30 minutes and did it while we were in a meeting doing other stuff. So, it's amazing some of this AI that's coming out there now.
It's so great. And also, on top of that, with the new agent model for ChatGPT coming
Yeah.
out, do you pay for the top version of it, or
So we recently switched to the premium, or whatever the top version is.
yeah, and then you can have access to the agentic feature where I think it could even book the flights for you when it comes to that time.
Yeah, I saw that with the agent. Yeah, it's I guess it'll book it and then go through the process, and then whenever it needs your credit card information, just ask you for the credit card information. You
Yeah.
put it in, and it books all the rest for you.
Yeah, it's incredible. Hopefully it doesn't give away the info, but that's my only concern there.
I think that's what I was watching a tutorial on it, and it says that's why you put in your. I guess you're just putting in your information directly into the website, right? They don't want the Chat GPT or the AI to actually have the credit card information. So
Yeah, maybe if you somehow just connect it. I haven't played around with it yet. I don't pay for the 200, a lower level, so I think it'll come out soon. But yeah, if it's just connected to the website, I think it might make that process safer.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that would be interesting. You wake up one day and your credit card's just
No,
charged with a bunch
no, no
bunch of
thanks.
digital stuff, and your AI is like, "Hey, I bought this."
Yeah, no. I mean, it's gonna do a lot of good, but then that's gonna happen to a couple people for sure. They're
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"What the heck just happened?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Brad, in the next, I'd say 12 to 24 months at O3 Energy, what's the main goal over there?
So our main goal is we are releasing some new products that we're seeing the industry make some changes. So we want to make some changes along with the industry. And for the longevity of the company, some of these new products I think are going to carry us forward for the next decade. So, we're going to be rolling those out soon. I'm attacking the market from that as well. And, our goal is to increase our presence. So we are increasing our footprint. We're attacking some projects in Mexico now as well, as the US, and, increasing growth and revenue.
Brad, thanks so much for joining us today. Where can our audience learn more about O3 Energy, but connect with you online as well?
Yeah. So you can go to our website. It's energy.com. So the letter O, the number 3, energy.com, or social media. Same thing. It's at O3 Energy across the board.
And then I'll put his LinkedIn down there for you guys. So thanks again, Brad.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Julian.